What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Why Him, starring Bryan Cranston and James Franco. Why Him tells the story of Ned Fleming, who he and his family are invited by his daughter to spend Christmas with her and her new boyfriend at her boyfriend's crash pad. And while they get there, the boyfriend, played by James Franco, reveals to Ned that he wants to marry his daughter, and this is what prompts Ned to go into a panic mode and try to prevent this from ever happening. Alright, so that's the overall story of Why Him. Let's just talk about this movie and get this review over quickly. Overall, I liked this movie. I thought it was funny in a lot of areas, and and mostly this movie was really entertaining. Some areas, the jokes didn't really land, but as a whole, this movie's backed up by two really good fun performances by James Franco and Bryan Cranston. This won't go down as their best work by any stretch of the imagination, but for a movie that needs to rely on its actors to be entertaining and charismatic, you can't go wrong with James Franco and Bryan Cranston. James Franco as this eccentric, well-meaning billionaire named Laird. I thought Franco played the role really, really well. He really does a good job of playing this, nice guy who just throws caution into the wind and just doesn't care. Franco, I thought, did a really good job with that role. He played it to the best of his abilities. Bryan Cranston, I'm a big Bryan Cranston fan. Breaking Bad showed the man had dramatic chops, but the man's also a very underrated comedic talent. And in this movie, you get to see some of Bryan Cranston's range as a comedian. It's not executed to the best of what he can do, but for what this movie has to offer and for the storyline that it's telling, Bryan Cranston was really funny playing this stuffy, uptight conservative father who does not want his daughter to fall down the rabbit hole of this out there personality. And the scenes between Franco and Cranston are fantastic, and you really get to see the dynamics of their conflicting personalities, and it's great. I thought Franco and Cranston were really, really good in this movie, and their on-screen chemistry was also really, really good. So I got no complaints with that. Like if you didn't get the two right leads, this movie would not have worked. So thankfully, you got Franco and Cranston, who are really good actors, and yeah, I ain't gonna say no more. The supporting cast in this movie I thought was solid. The actor who played Scotty, who is Ned and Stephanie's, who is Ned's son, I thought he was funny in the role. I like the scenes with him, with him and Laird. I think it's pretty funny with the whole running joke of Scotty, who was being groomed to take over his father's company eventually, and he wants to take a seat at the table. He wants dragons and titties. That shit was stupid, but it was funny. The actress who played Barb, who was Ned's wife, I thought she was fine. She doesn't really do a whole lot until she has one scene where she gets baked and tries to have sex with Ned, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, Barb doesn't really do much, but she had her moments of shine. The actress who played Stephanie, I thought she was actually really good, and this actress needed to be really good because at the end of the day, the story is basically her boyfriend and her father having a tug of war for her best interest in a way. So Stephanie needed to be a very likable character, and she needed to have good personality. Good chemistry with both James Franco and Bryan Cranston. And thankfully, the actress whose name is Zoe Dutch has very good on-screen chemistry with Franco and Cranston, and they come across as very believable. And the separate chemistry she has with both these two comes across very naturally on screen. So I liked her character. I thought she was really good. Keegan Michael K, he plays a character called Gustav, who is like the best friend of Laird, and I thought K was absolutely hysterical in this movie. He is an underrated gem in this movie as the character of Gustav, who is pretty much like I said, who's Laird's best friend and financial consultant and someone like that. Kind of keeps his house in order, and also is like his training partner for sparring sessions. I thought the scenes with the character of Gustav were really, really funny, and I like how he tries to ground Laird in some ways and tries to tell him if you want, stop over trying to impress and stop using the foul language, because Laird is very heavily into foul language. And you got Gustav who's trying to ground him and teach him, don't do that, because if you keep doing that, then you're just gonna dig yourself into a rabbit hole. I like that. Gustav comes across like a voice of reason to Laird in a lot of areas, in a lot of scenes. And the chemistry that he and Franco have is actually pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. And you also have Cedric the Entertainer in this movie, who plays the best friend of Ned. I don't think Cedric has enough scenes in this movie, which is a shame, because he and Cranston could have had really good comedic chemistry, but their scenes are few and far between. But he does have some little bits peppered in here and there. Like also this other character named Kevin, who is like a hacker who works who's like a hacker who works for Ned. He also has scenes peppered in here and there. But his biggest scene is when he's trying to hack into Laird's computer to get some dirty information. But Ned has to be in Laird's room, and he has to hide when Laird and Stephanie go into their room, in which they have an argument, which turns to them having sex, in which Ned is scarred for life. That whole scene was ridiculously stupid. The movie does have a lot of funny comedic bits to it, and also just has some good production values to it as well. Like, I like the look of Laird's big mansion. It looks like something that someone like him would buy. I like the inside of the mansion, where he has like a bunch of random things, like a moose and a mason and like this big tank full of piss that try and keep it preserved. He had these wacky effed up sculptures and paintings. He also built a massive bowling alley in the middle of his house as a tribute to Ned, because he knows Ned likes bowling. And he also has a tattoo of the family's Christmas card on his back. Like, I like how the movie went out of the way to show just how eccentric this man is, but also how loving he is as well in his own little way. Since Laird, his backstory is that he grew up without a family, so he's basically doing all of this because he just wants to be a part of a family, in which he does get to it by the end of the movie. After you get the old falling out between Laird, Stephanie, and Ned, the family goes back to Michigan. Laird and Stephanie go to Michigan, as Laird did it as a surprise. He brings Kiss along with him, since he knows that Ned and Stephanie are big Kiss fans. He got Gene and Paul make a cameo in this movie at the end, and this is what reignites. And this is where Ned, gets respect for Laird. Laird does propose to Stephanie, but Stephanie rejects it, not because she doesn't love Laird, but because she wants to finish out her goals first before she can settle down and get married. But I like it because it shows to Ned that Laird is a very caring person. And Stephanie's decision also matures Laird a little bit. I mean, they kind of killed it when Laird thinks the entire time that she's breaking up with him just to get a cheap joke. But overall, the ending was nice, and you had that nice little Christmas feel with the whole Christmas party and everything like that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Why Him. Overall, it's a funny movie. I like it. It's a good Christmas comedy. It's not an underrated. It won't go down as a classic by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's underrated. And I think when it came out, people kind of gave it maybe a little too much hate, because this is a very decent movie with two fun lead actors in Franco and Cranston. So, with all that being said, I'm gonna give Why Him a solid 7 out of 10. I recommend it. I enjoyed it. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.